Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 14, Episode 21. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us here this Monday, Steelers Nation. And Dave, TJ Watt had 3 sacks. I assume that's all that happened in yesterday's game. I assume everything else was just fantastic from there. But no, it was a disaster. Pittsburgh dropping their opener to the 49ers 30-7 in just total non-competitive fashion. So remember when the preseason was fun? That was fun. A little less so today. Dave, how you doing?
Open up the regular season recap podcast with some bars of gloom, despair, and agony on me. Oh, deep down. Okay, you know how that goes by now.
It's been a while since we heard that.
Yeah. Football is definitely back when we have to, unfortunately, do that. But man, what a nightmare! And went through the TV tape a couple times last night, and it looked even worse a couple of times through there. Look, I obviously didn't have them winning this game, but definitely not in this fashion. I expected them to at least show up and make it a competitive game and potentially be a close game in the fourth quarter and yada yada, and it was anything but that. I mean, you talk about an offense that during the preseason, starting offense went 5 for 5 and 5 touchdowns, and in this game you went 5 for 5, but on the other end of the spectrum there, 5 3-and-outs. What did they have, like 1 net yard or something after those first 5 drives or something like that? Then you got that little bit of optimism there at the end of the first half where they went hurry up and was able to march all the way down the field and eventually put that thing into the end zone. But then you open up the second half of this game, and Christian McCaffrey, boy, we talk about those 60-something yard explosive runs and not being able to defend any grass at the end of them. Whatever momentum, and there wasn't much that this team had coming out of halftime, and it's gone. Just right like that. So, all right, time to get into this thing and break it down based off what we know off the TV tape.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a miserable performance all the way around. Offense, defense, special teams, outside of basically TJ Watt and some of Anthony McFarland in the kick return game. There's really no positives here overall. Before we get into kind of the autopsy of this game, let's just quickly go through the inactive list and the injuries. And unfortunately, there is injury to the insult of this game, but we'll start with the inactives. And just very briefly, Dave, you called them all correctly.
No, I had one wrong.
You had one wrong?
Yeah. Don't give me too much credit. These people
I'm trying to find something here.
Yeah, these people won't like that on this Monday. I had Loudermilk being inactive, and instead Armon Watts was.
Okay, my apologies. But yeah, Rudolph, Dylan Cook, Armon Watts, Desmond King, and Gunnar Olszewski. We'll see. We assume King will get ahead at some point here pretty quickly, but still newly signed. Not ready yet. From an injury standpoint, Pittsburgh battling several in this one. That is Cam Heyward with the groin. He tried to come back twice and could not finish. DeMarvin Leal with an arm triceps, according to Mike Tomlin. Pat Frymouth with a chest. Diontae Johnson with the hamstring at the end of his 26-yard catch and run. And Chuck Womack late in that game. He's in concussion protocol per Tomlin. So not only does Pittsburgh lose this game in just horrific fashion, they may not have some of these key players for their Week 2 game Monday night against the Browns.
Man, you saw that I guess was the second time that Cam Heyward tried to come back and he couldn't run.
Nope.
Plain and simple. And he knew. I mean, kudos to him for trying to fight through it and all. But I mean, it was fairly evident if you look at him trying to chase down that play and get off the block. I mean, he couldn't run, and now you wonder how long is this going to be with him? You obviously would love to have him for this game, even if he was 85% or something like that against the Browns. But and yes, this is a long week or an extra day week coming up because you play on Monday night. But you really have to wonder not only is he going to miss this Monday night game against the Browns, but I mean, are we talking about 2-3 more weeks on top of it? So your defensive captain out there, the guy that really can dominate there in the trenches, not having him obviously in that game for a good portion of that game hurt. It wasn't the only thing that hurt that defense. I don't know how much better it would have had, but having a healthy Cam Heyward on the field wouldn't have hurt. That's for sure. And now you wonder about how long he's going to be sidelined. And then, as you mentioned with Diontae Johnson and to add, I don't know, how do you say it, insult to injury or injury to insult or whatever. This happened early in the third quarter with him, and he actually got yards after the catch.
Right.
On the play, something that's kind of been a real bugaboo for him. What did he get, like 22 yards after the catch on that play, and was cut back inside and like somebody shot him in the back of the leg there. And with that being a hamstring injury, once kind of in the same boat of Cameron Heyward there, you wonder how long we're talking about. You're wondering if this is just a mild thing that maybe he can get back by Monday night, or are we talking 2 or 3 games there? Leal, didn't he try to fight through it? Or
he did.
Yeah, and didn't he finish, I think? You lose 2 guys on your defensive line like that to minor injuries. I guess, at least from the TV tape, Larry Ogunjobi looked okay, and it was good, obviously, to have him back there. And I think Batco from the PPG even said Darnell Washington was kind of limping around after the game. On top of it, who was he? Chikwuemo Okorafor. We'll have to see what happens there. Obviously, with the concussion protocol, you would hope that maybe he'd be able to go through this and be healthy by Monday. But we've thought that before as well too. And protocol's a protocol, and they're not going to rush him along here. So it definitely was injuries to insult there.
And that did Okorafor's injury and concussion, a potential concussion, led Broderick Jones to make his NFL debut, picking up, I believe, 4 snaps at left tackle to finish that game out. But Dave, let's get into the actual game itself, as painful as it is. Pittsburgh again dropping this one 30-7, nothing going right, offense, defense, or special teams. But I think you have to start here, Dave, with Kenny Pickett, who looked really strong in the preseason. You mentioned how successful the first team offense was this summer, and it all went away pretty much immediately in this game. Pickett struggling massively. Honestly, Dave, and I know it's a little prisoner of the moment, and we have not watched y'all 22, but I doubt it's going to look significantly different. I think based on the relativity of him being in his second year, being at home, being the starter, clear cut, year 1 or year 2 for him, this is the worst start of his career. I mean, he was just miserable, and I know there were some bad games last year. There were blowouts against the Bills and against the Eagles, but just given the expectations, given the talent level, I understand how difficult the 49ers defense is, the best in football, as Pittsburgh found out yesterday, but Kenny Pickett was just a mess.
Yeah, he was. And the most, one of the, several concerning things when it came to him is, he's been known as an accurate guy, overall, and just the accuracy was way off. A couple of these, seemed to be made, might have been miscommunication where he thought the receiver would be, but I mean, there were other throws in this game that we've seen him make that he just wasn't making. The red zone throw to Diontae Johnson on the slant should have been a easy pitch and catch. Even the conversion to Anthony McFarland later in the game over to the left side. McFarland had to work for that ball. There were just several off target throws, and then you get into that second interception there. And he even said as much after the game. you're trying to make plays happen at that point. You got Tampa 2 situation there. You got Connor Heyward running down the middle of the field with I don't know what number Fred Warner that was on the field, because I think they had they might have cheated in that game. I think there were 3 Fred Warners on the field. We'll have to look into that a little bit deeper there. But I mean, Fred Warner's right with him, and you force a ball in there, gets tipped up, gets intercepted there. But accuracy and overall was the thing that stuck out the most. And then obviously decision making was right there up top as far as when you're looking at Kenny Pickett's performance.
Yeah, I thought he missed layups, and none clearer than that one to Diontae. Now, I know they eventually scored on that drive, and that was a good throw in the right location with good zip to Freiermuth. But is Diontae Johnson just cursed to never find the end zone? I mean, that should have been the easiest touchdown he's had in his career, and Pickett just throws it low and behind, and it's incomplete, and lucky it wasn't picked up. But I thought in terms of him extending the play, making poor decisions whenever he would leave the pocket, usually that was kind of, a good part of his game last year. Use his legs, keep his eyes downfield, find an open guy downfield. Not so in this one. In just third down play, the first drive, he takes a sack. Second one, 3rd and 5, throws a pick. I know Johnson slipped, but probably not a great ball or great decision overall. And yeah, on that second pick that got tipped by Fred Warner, we had the conversation last week. I think you had asked, do you throw to the middle of the field? And I said, maybe, but man, Fred Warner's top coverage linebacker, and that's Tampa 2, and running with Heyward, and they're running a dagger concept. You had, I think it was Pickens coming in underneath, and that would have been, getting under where Warner was carrying Heyward vertical. So Pickett just waits a second. I think Pickens or whoever the underneath receiver is on the dig, it's going to be wide open. So why Pickett isn't hitting that, I couldn't tell you. Just him forcing a ball there. So just a very uncharacteristic game for him.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing is it's still early. I mean, here's the thing. We've seen him play better than that, a lot better than that. So those are things I'll be looking for in this second game.
Yeah, it's just, what do you think it was? Was it the 49ers defense being that good? Was it just the first game kind of weirdness?
Some of them were just, some of them, he was just off.
Right. But I'm trying to figure out why. Because
that's the question, and I don't know if we're able to answer why you go from looking as sharp as you did. Now look, yeah, it was preseason, vanilla defenses and all like that. Maybe he was pressing. I don't know, but I mean, this it's not like this happened progressively throughout the game. He was off right from the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did not get much better. I mean, they went tempo for that 2-minute drill. I mean, it just felt like same old Steelers, where it's a chore to try to move the football, and then you finally get a 2-minute drill. You go tempo, you spread the field out, get into a rhythm, you score, and then usually the rest of the story is the team gets back into the game. Then obviously did not happen yesterday, but just felt like where everything's just pulling teeth for an offense that on paper the line's better, the skill guys are better, the quarterback's in place. Got a good running back tandem. I know the 49ers are a tough bunch, but man, to be this flat and just be out-muscled the way they were on both sides of the football at home, your first home game since 2014 is just deflating.
We saw bully ball.
Yeah, just not the bully ball was my phrase.
It was the other team played the bully ball in this one. Not the Steelers there. Look, I mean, you come right out of the chute there, and the first play was good. You got the ball to Pickens, and you got about 6 yards, kind of a middle of the field situation there. The second one on the kind of the jet sweep there, Freiermuth misses the block. I mean, can't wait to see that one on the end zone view there. And then Freiermuth just didn't know. He knew he messed up so bad he didn't know where to turn to. He touched nobody basically on that play. That gets blown up, and then on the third down there, okay, you hold on to the ball a little bit, then you're kind of scrambling and moving. Just throw the damn ball away and don't take the sack there. and take your 3 and out, get off the field there. But once again, you're talking about 5 drives and 5 3 and outs. They only ran the football, I think, two times in total on first downs. I think in this game, the other first down run was a Kenny Pickett scramble there, but really no, you get behind like you did in this game, and then the defense can start dictating what you do, and you obviously have to start throwing the football a little bit more, and that gets you out of the rhythm at that point. But outside of and kudos to Najee Harris on delivering the explosive run on that 2-minute drill there, did a great job of vision and bouncing that outside. Got a couple of nice blocks on the edge by the wide receivers, and you throw in the 15-yard penalty at the end of that run, and you get an explosive play that way. But Pickett was 1 of 7, I think, on throws of 15 or more yards down the field in this game. 2 of those balls were intercepted, and they just 3 explosive plays in total. The Najee one, the one to Diontae early in the second half, that he unfortunately got hurt on, and then you kind of had to throw away. I mean, it still counts, obviously, but the late one to Allen Robinson, the second later on, late in the fourth quarter there. But you're not going to win many ball games that way. I mean, what are the things that we talked about? Yards after the catch, explosive plays. Have to get better this year. This team did average 2, 4, 6, something like that, yards after the catch in this game. But if you throw out the Diontae Johnson one, you back up under 3 at that point there, and then once again 3 explosive plays, and 1 late in the game really doesn't matter there. So, I mean, this was a very, very, very good 49ers defense that they played, but there was a lot of self-inflicted stuff in this to go along with it.
Yeah, a lot of unforced errors. And even that 3.2 yards after the catch stat is still bad. I mean, Pittsburgh was dead last in that category last year at 4. So 3.2 is worse than where their average was last season. But if you just needed one stat to sum up how bad this offense was, their first down came with under 2 minutes to go in the half, and that was on the Najee Harris run. They got the penalty off of that. So, I mean, you just want one stat that sums up how ineffective they were. It was turnovers and 3 and outs for the entire first half until that final drive there. So I'm not sure when the last time that ever happened was. Pittsburgh didn't pick up a first down until basically the half was almost over. I mean, that's just ineptitude that you would have never guessed about this game.
Look, I think you can call it the 5 for 5 key stat, at least in the first half here, because the flip side of that too is you're putting your defense out there for so many plays. How many plays did the 49ers run in the first half? Because the Steelers wound up running, I think, 27. Thank God for the 12-play drive there. I mean, if you don't get points there, and you go even if you get your first down and maybe you run 6-7 plays there, you're looking at an offense at that point that would have only run around 22 plays in the first half on 6 possessions there. But fortunately, they did have the 12-play drive to close out the first half and scored. And the 49ers in the first half, let's see, 7, 6, 9, 7. That's 16 and 13 is 29 and 11 is 40, and then the 1 kneel down. 41 plays in the first half there, and not only that, they had, let's see, a touchdown, 14 and 6, 20 points overall, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at what you tweeted out the half. It said 39 to 27 plays in favor of the 49ers, but either way, probably it's a no play. I think that's being negated in the ESPN math there, but it did not feel that close. I mean, that was just Pittsburgh obviously getting that late drive in there that kind of racked up the plays. But I'm going to have to, I wanted to pull the number, how much game time between each possession the 49ers had, because they would have the ball, they would go on a 7-play drive, Pittsburgh would go 3 and out, and then about a minute of game time later, the Steelers defense is back on the field. So I'm sure there's some crazy stats like that. And so, yeah, I mean, the 49ers dictated the tempo and the tone of this game early, carried that throughout, and that was the overall feel of the entire day.
And look, I mean, you and that would be interesting to know the actual real clock time.
Yeah, I don't know the real time. I can give you just game time, but the defense and the defense couldn't get stops in their in their defense. I mean, they were not in their defense, but just they could not get stops either.
And look, where I was going to go with this on top of what you said is you even saw Marcus Golden and Herbig have to play. You'd expect those guys to play during this game, but they were having to be on the field in that first half for a handful of snaps, and normally, not just a few either. I don't think.
Right, and the D-line depth is tested, and the problem I'm seeing with Pittsburgh's defense is whenever they lose one of those pillars, whether it's a Watt or a Minka or a Cam Heyward, there just isn't the talent to make up for it. Now, to be fair, the defense was not doing well before Heyward got hurt, but when you lose him, it really falls apart then. And we spoke about the depth of the D-line, and I couched that in the framework of there's some tough cuts to be made along this defensive line, which there were, but do you have that high-end talent that can replace Heyward if he goes down mid-game, or at some point in the coming years, you're going to have to replace him, full long-term whenever he retires. And Pittsburgh does not really seem to have that right now. And so once you lose him and Leal's battling his thing and Ogunjobi's probably not 100%, I mean, you're just getting cooked, on the ground game.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Loudermilk has made a little bit of improvement, but I mean, he pretty much is what he is. Now, I think it's going to be, I can't wait to get to the all 22 portion on defense, because I think Keanu Benton probably had some pretty good, it looked like he had some pretty good snaps in there. Ogunjobi, at least on my initial run through the TV tape, looked over okay overall. And here's the other thing about a defense, at least those first several drives there. I mean, no pressure, and obviously San Francisco was doing a good. They knew that offense for them early on. It looked like they knew what the Steelers were going to do. In certain situations, they obviously stayed ahead of the chains, which makes it even harder on the defense. And the ball was out quick. Brock Purdy looked like he knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball. He was accurate. They were getting a little bit of yards after the catch, and I mean he didn't look like Mr. Irrelevant, and now that makes, I think, 6 regular season starts for him now, and all 6 of them statistically have looked really good. I think his adjusted net yards per passing attempt number was over 7. Once again, he has not had a game as a regular season game in the NFL as a starter under 7. He looked like the real deal to me, and boy, Brandon Ayuk, they didn't have an answer for him at all, and they did such a great job of scheming towards the middle of the field, really throughout this game, and Brandon Ayuk, man, that looked like Terrell Owens out there, old school Terrell Owens when he was with the 49ers overall, because he was crushing them.
Yeah, I called him earlier in the week maybe one of the most underrated receivers in football, and I think he showed that in this one. But to go back to the Steelers offense, I mean, just big picture, I called this the litmus test for the Steelers, and they want to be what the 49ers are, and the 49ers ran their game plan to a T. Run the ball effectively, as you said, stay on schedule, play action, beat zone coverage, a couple of boots, be aggressive defensively, take the ball away, get some pressure. The philosophies between the Steelers and the 49ers are essentially identical, but the 49ers, of course, executed at a much, much higher level. And so Pittsburgh still, they might have an idea of who they want to be, but their ability to execute that is still falling short. At least it did in this game. And this offense just, there was no run game. Even when they tried to run the few times they did, no one's getting a hat on Fred Warner. You leave any linebacker unblocked, it's going to be a bad day, but you leave Fred Warner unblocked. I mean, he lit up Harris on that one, zone run to the left there. And so they were just just nothing there. So Pittsburgh may have a better feel of who they want to be, but who they actually are, they're two different things right now.
Man, that guy is so impressive to watch. His ability to read and then get to point A to point B so quick. There were obviously a couple standout players for the 49ers in this game. And Drake, what's Drake's last name?
Jackson.
Yeah, just as I had called it, Drake Jackson is a player to watch in this game. No, I didn't. But I mean, you have a guy like that able to eat, and before the game, I think it was reported that the plan for Nick Bosa was to play 30 to 40 snaps. The way that game was going, he didn't even need I don't know how many did he end up playing in this game overall, but they probably could have sat him and been just fine overall there. The way that defensive front was playing for them.
I mean, I felt like the pressure wasn't crazy on Kenny Pickett.
35 snaps for Nick Bosa in this game.
I mean, and they sat him obviously late in this one. I saw some 49ers beat writers say they're going to, hit that snap count number and not have to take him off the field at all. Not going to limit his snaps, but actually only play 35-40 because of how little the 49ers defense had to play in this one. But I didn't feel like the pressure was immense on Pickett where he's getting killed, 2 seconds after dropping back. I think guys are struggling to get open, and Pickett probably struggling to see things in some extended play situations. And then late in the game, when the 49ers can pin their ears back, they got a couple extra sacks. Pickett sacked 5 times in this one. At first blush, I didn't feel like the line did a terrible job of protecting Pickett. I just felt like nobody was getting open or Pickett was not seeing anything downfield.
Yeah, I would agree with that overall. Now, I think just on first blush, I think probably Sayamala is probably going to grade out the best in this. But it's not like he was under duress all day. I mean, look, he had time to throw a lot. He was just, you see him look off and look back and look off. And, he did have to hold the ball a little longer, especially, as the game progressed there. But there were opportunities for him to make plays in this game. He just, he didn't.
Yeah, and you're going to have to make him in week 2. We'll talk about that a bit later, but there's really not much margin for error right now as you're hosting the Browns, coming off a great victory that Cleveland had over the Bengals in this game. But any other thoughts here?
He talked after the game about wishing they had more balance and all like that. Several people are obviously going to take that as, he's taking a shot at Matt Canada there. But I mean, when you get down like you were down, and especially right after in the second half there, when McCaffrey bust that and the game's really busted wide open at that point. I mean, you have to get away from the run at that point, right? I mean, you're playing right into their hands every time you run the football, and especially when you're running with an offense that, it isn't really explosive on the ground anyway. Yes, Najee had the explosive run in the game, and he should be commended about that. But it's not like they want you to try to march 85 yards down the field in 10, 11 plays and chew up clock at that point. So by go back to that 5 for 5, 5 and 5 and 3 and outs to start this game off. And then you get behind, obviously on the scoreboard on top of it there, you're not going to have the balance that you desire moving forward into that game. And they certainly didn't. And, the 49ers probably played a lot too soft at the end of that first half drive there and let the Steelers kind of march down. You throw in, the penalty on top of it, and that they had that gave an extra 15 yards. I view that kind of more as them shooting themselves in the foot. Now, look, I mean, you still have to capitalize on that. They did, and they did score there. But I mean, you get into the second half of this game, I mean, you pretty much have to throw every down, right?
Yeah, the time when you could be balanced in the first half, Pittsburgh simply did not possess the football until that 2-minute drive where, of course, you can't really run the ball much, if at all. And so, that there's no secret to why this team wasn't balanced. When you don't have the ball early and you're behind in the second half, of course, you're going to have to throw the ball, the 50-plus dropbacks that Pickett had in this game. But yeah, the 49ers game plan defensively was, we're going to stop the run. We're going to take away the deep ball. Pittsburgh really had nothing downfield in this game, and we're going to force the Steelers offense to go, 5-6 yards at a time in the pass game. And Pickett just could not do it. Didn't read things well, was not accurate. And so you're not going to be able to sustain drives that way. Their 49ers game plan was not that secretive. Take away the deep ball. Don't allow the chunk play to really flip field and allow those guys to pick up a bunch of yards at once and stuff the run. And Pittsburgh just could not handle it.
And then once again on the passes that they were completing, for the most part, they were not conducive to yards after the catch. A lot of especially on the ones that they completed. You did have just those instances with Diontae and Allen Robinson the second later on, late in the game there. But man, you take those two plays away on how many completions did he have in this game? 31,
31, yeah.
31 overall. And you don't want to sit here and go deep dive and cherry picking too much into a week one game there. But man, you take away those two catch and runs alone to Johnson and Allen Robinson the third, and you're probably talking less than 2 yards of yards after the catch in those. And a couple of the shorter ones that they were trying to complete to the running backs didn't go anywhere. Not much yak in those situations either there. So, I mean, it was just a mess. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. And there's a lot of blame to go all around. Kenny Pickett, once again, has a lot of blame in it because, some accuracy issues and decision making in that. But and then, the flow of the game, obviously, with getting behind in as quickly as they did. And then you spend most of the third or fourth quarter trying to make plays down the field when they're in a situation where they're going to try to do their best to make sure that you're not.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Pittsburgh's passing game was just everything underneath. Just look at some of the receiving numbers here for Pittsburgh's guys. Calvin Austin, 6 catches, 37 yards. George Pickens, 5 catches, 36 yards. Jaylen Warren, 5 receptions, 12 yards. A real quirky line there. Diontae had the one downfield, but everything was contained. Everything kept underneath. 49ers did a great job keeping a lid on things. They shut down the run. Najee Harris, 2 receptions, 2 yards. And so, Pittsburgh's passing game was really contained to that 5 to 10 yard range. And again, just not able to sustain drives at all.
Right.
Any other kind of final thoughts here offensively? Any bright spots in this one? Really trying to find something. It was good for Austin to play, get a lot of action. His first NFL regular season game. Didn't have any super explosive plays or tremendous moments, but seemed to have a fine game overall.
Yeah, I thought Allen Robinson did some nice things overall in this game with him. I think even at one point he was the leading receiver up until late in this game. Oh, he actually did.
He did lead, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm in total receptions, I think Austin got him by 1 there, and the only reason Austin saw more action, obviously, because Diontae Johnson went down overall. But I thought Allen Robinson kind of talked about. I wouldn't be surprised if he grades out as the best receiver from an all around standpoint in this one. Let's see what else offensively. I mean, once again, I have harped on Najee Harris quite a bit about the explosive play capability and the fact that he delivered a nice run there, which his decision making and ability to cut caused that. So it wasn't like a gaping hole that he ran that through there. So I think that's a minor bright spot, getting an explosive run out of him. But they only ran the ball 9 times in this game, and the rest of the runs weren't there at all.
At least Najee has now matched his 2022 total of explosive runs of 20 plus yards or more. I think he had just a 1 last year. So we're 1 for 1 week into the season. I overall, and again, I need to see the all 22. I would not put Matt Canada front and center for the blame here. Although I do think the one call that he had late in the third quarter, 4th and 4, ball at the 49ers 8-yard line. Sorry, I got ad playing here. ESPN loves to just randomly play ads in my ear. But I think that 4th and 4 call, where it's just 4 verticals, and you're trying to expand the defense, and they don't have to expand vertically. I mean, they're at balls at the 8-yard line, so I'm not sure how you're not calling anything that's an in-breaking route, anything that puts a defender in conflict, anything that gets you to the sticks, not have to put that ball in the end zone. I know there was miscommunication on the throw between Pickett and Freiermuth, but I thought that was a really abysmal call and Pittsburgh's kind of last hope to try to get back into that game when you're just running 4 verticals into the end zone on 4th down when you only need to get 4 yards.
Yeah, especially you're talking about the compressed space there. So
yeah,
you're already fighting what is essentially 3 more defenders across the field because of not having the depth of the field to work with.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was one call that stuck out to me. But overall, I think if you're going to have one guy front and center to blame, and the blame goes around the entire team, coaches and players, but Kenny Pickett was just, I thought, abysmal in this one and really discouraging start for his season.
Yeah, it was.
All right, Dave, flipping over to the defense, not like they were that much better. Could not stop the run. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries for $152 and a touchdown. And you referenced the big one, Pittsburgh. They get a touchdown before the end of the half. It's 20-7. You think, okay, San Francisco gets the ball to start, get a stop, get the ball back, maybe climb back into this one. And 2 plays into the second half, McCaffrey going 65 yards the other way. In that game, really, I thought that play kind of epitomized and summed up how just more physical the 49ers were in this game, offense, defense, just overall, where Levi Wallace just on Olay basically on McCaffrey. And then Casey, who's a physical guy, just gets thrown out of the club by Brandon Ayuk there downfield. And McCaffrey scores on that one. So Pittsburgh just getting beat up.
Ray McLeod down there trying to take Patrick Peterson's lunch money too.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Those are the, what was it with the Jaylen Warren runs, 50, 60 yards during the
Diontae had the block.
Preseason there. You need things like that to facilitate these explosive, double explosive, triple explosive runs, especially for them to go in the end zone. You need that kind of stuff. And boy, they had it out there with Ayuk and Ray McLeod. And look, I mean, you can't judge a play just by one still shot, but at one point, as you kind of referenced there, McCaffrey's trying to spin out there, and his back is going toward he's faced towards his own goal line there, and Levi Wallace has hands on him at that point, and he still manages to get break that tackle, so to speak, and then go the rest of the way at that point. Now, look, Christian McCaffrey is one of those different kind of backs where he's shifty and he can do those kind of things, and obviously has the long speed on top of it. How many times have we talked over the years? We don't get to see it enough on the Steelers side of things, but we've seen it happen against the Steelers several times. Man, explosive runs, even if they're just 20 yards. I mean, hell, even if they're 15 yards, it's stealing a play in the NFL if you get those. And then if you talk about triple explosive plays of 60 yards or more, those are crushing, and they're even more crushing when they end up in the end zone the way that one did. And yeah, look, you come out of halftime and you think, all right, look, that was miserable. Let's get a stop here to open up this second half here. Maybe we can climb back in this thing. But 60 yards later by McCaffrey, and you're thinking, okay, drive safe, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just have some pride out there, man. You're at home, in front of your crowd, and the 49ers had a pretty large presence in this game too, in terms of their crowd, and they had a lot to cheer about in this one. But really just disappointing from that aspect of it, where Pittsburgh was just really outmuscled and they lost the point of attack offensively and defensively. But yeah, it was the McCaffrey and Ayuk show. And Ayuk was, as you said, uncoverable. Pittsburgh played a lot of zone. Ayuk kind of found soft spots over the middle. And then, of course, on the first touchdown, Peterson slips and Ayuk scores easily in the back of the end zone. Second one, just, him mossing Peterson. And the coverage was not bad, but Peterson can't contest it. And Ayuk ultimately makes the play. And Peterson obviously talked his talk going into the week about, the 49ers have their tells. I'm going to get a pick, and almost had one in this game, but he didn't. And he got scored on twice. And so he talked the talk. He didn't walk the walk. And the 49ers laughed last and laughed best.
Yeah, about his best snaps in this game were in the slot, weren't they?
I'd have to see the all 22, but obviously the outside did not go well, giving up a pair of scores. So I imagine the slot had to have been better.
Even on that first touchdown to Ayuk, if he doesn't slip, that's probably still a touchdown.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
When it comes to that, And look, we just highlighted, Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson on defense in a negative way there. And I think you said maybe one of your concerns heading into the season was the secondary, right? Here's the thing, and look, Joey Porter Jr. only played 7 snaps defensively in this game. He's obviously more of more suited for man. He's not. One of my main takeaways from this thing is we're probably going to have to see this team play more man moving forward, I think, and that would play right into the hands, I think, to getting Joey Porter Jr. on the field more. So my one of my overarching takeaways from this is I think the clock's ticking on Levi Wallace here.
I mean, Peterson did not look any better. Could
Right.
it be a situation where Peterson loses playing time?
I kind of doubt it.
Okay. I mean, I think, they're not going to make any major changes here, I don't think, 1 week into the season. So we'll see what week 2 looks like and kind of go from there. But obviously, both those guys and this entire defense has to improve. I want to go back just really briefly to the 65-yarder that McCaffrey had. I don't have the exact quote. I think it was from Ray Fittipaldo in front of me, but Minkah was apparently saying somebody tried to do too much on that play, didn't do their job. I tried to go back and watch that play to see what he might have been referencing. I couldn't tell, but maybe I'm just obviously I'm not in the huddle there.
Yeah, I from the TV from the end zone TV angle, I couldn't tell.
Okay. I do know in this game, Minkah played in the box quite a bit. They really used him over slot and down low more than what they normally do. And I can understand that because the 49ers are a run-heavy team and you want Minkah involved and trying to do some different things. But I just don't think Pittsburgh's ever had much success when they try to play Minkah either over slot or down in the box. I mean, that's what he wanted out of Miami, and they tried in the slot against the Raiders. What was that, 2 years ago? And that was a disaster there. So I just felt like anytime they don't use Minkah the way that Minkah should be used as a free safety, the results just are not good. And that does not mean you have to play him in 20 yards deep every play. You can do some rotations and spin guys down post snap. But I just felt like Pittsburgh's play, they blitzed him a ton in this game. It's just stuff like that. It's not in Minkah's wheelhouse. And I don't think Minkah was all that great in this game either. Had that potential sack on Purdy, misses, and Purdy completes the pass for a first down. So I just, going through the game last night, did not like how Minkah was using this one, and his play was not that great either.
And look, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I would assume that the 49ers were pretty damn good on first down overall, right?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I imagine they probably were much better than Pittsburgh, and put it that way.
And if you stay ahead of the change and get those second down situations there where you really have the defense guessing more whether or not it's going to be run or pass, it's going to be advantageous to you. But I mean, it once again, it felt like their offense knew exactly what they were going to do. I mean, even that first fourth down conversion that they had, I mean, that was schemed so well, to get the ball to, I think it was Kittle on that where he kind of fake blocks and then just leaks on out. And, you only need a yard and a half at the time. And, just situationally, especially on some money downs, they really did a good job. And then once again, the way they can scheme things to the middle of the field there, and even Brock, probably one of the not so great throws that Brock Purdy had in this game, and there obviously weren't a lot of them there, where he's moving over to the left-hand side and kind of throwing back a little bit more towards the middle of the field. You got a guy like Deebo Samuel bailing him out with a nice catch,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll have to go through the tape, but it felt like they were just kind of running the same concepts. And we talked about that. The 49ers offense is not incredibly complex where they're going to run a million different schemes. It's a lot of the same stuff. It's dressed up well. There's pre-snap movement. There's window dressing. They try to move your eyes. I mean, there were a couple where just a two-man route combination. I think one was McCaffrey sitting on a short curl, and the receiver then breaks on a 10, 15-yard dig. They ran that twice for 2 completions to Ayuk, I think maybe both times, or one was to Samuel and the other to Ayuk. I forget the exact thing, but I mean, just kind of running the same stuff. And Pittsburgh was playing pretty soft zone and really not competitive at the catch point. But you had to pull up the number here. 49ers averaged 5.9 yards per play on first down.
Wow.
And I bet you that was probably even better in the first half before they kind of called off the dogs late in this game. And there's some kneel downs in there that probably skew things at the end of the half and take those things out probably even better. Pittsburgh, 3.4 yards per play on first down. Let's just quickly see where the 49ers ranked overall for week 1, pending the Monday night matchup tonight. We use our, let's see, the 49ers had tied for the 5th best first down yardage in
Dallas
this.
Is probably up there.
Yeah, Dallas was 4th. Miami, 7.5 yards per play on first down. Yeah, Tua went off in this one. But yeah, I mean, I imagine if you just kind of take out some of the, what do you want to call it? Just the kneel downs and the end of the game type stuff. I mean, the 49ers offense is probably averaging 7 yards per play on first down.
Right. And once again, you get those advantages. I mean, that's why they call it staying ahead of the chains there.
Yeah, that's for sure on that one. All right, something good in this game. TJ Watt, 3 sacks. He's now tied James Harrison for the franchise's all-time mark with 80.5. He's got a good chance to break it against the Browns, who'll be without Jack Conklin in week 2. So TJ Watt, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, nearly a second, a weird ruling there from the officials, but at least TJ Watt was TJ Watt.
Yeah, he and we talked. If there's one thing that we definitely got right ahead of this game, it was him and against who was it? McGlinchey over there.
No, McKivitz.
I mean McKivitz over there. That was going to probably be an advantageous matchup for him, and he certainly won it. A lot of the times there, but it still almost had two fumble recoveries, and what a weird one that one was with Purdy being able to, the butt recovery, I guess you'd call that, right. There. But I mean, I don't know what more you want that guy to do in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the frustrating part. Your star player had a really good game overall, impact player, and you still got blown out at home. This was the worst week 1 home loss Pittsburgh has had in the Mike Tomlin era, and they're worse since 1997 when the Cowboys beat them 37-7. The Cowboys had a great opener last night against the Giants. So there is any sort of silver lining here. It's week 1. It's the NFL's weird early in the season. In that 97 year when Pittsburgh got destroyed by the Cowboys, they finished the year 11-5 and went to the AFC title game. So I just want to, not defending how bad this game was. It was terrible in week 2. It's going to be a really critical game for Pittsburgh, but we've seen bad week 1s, turn out good by season's end.
The Ravens game several years ago, they got it taken to them, and then I think ended up in the playoffs, didn't they?
I was 2011. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs that year. So yeah, the point is, we've seen bad week 1s end in good season results, and vice versa. Of course, Pittsburgh beating the Bengals last year, they obviously lose TJ Watt in that game, but then they skid the rest of the way until after the bye. So point being, if there's any just perspective to offer, it is week 1. The NFL is really weird this time of year. Let's see how week 2 goes. Although the Browns are going to be a daunting opponent given their great week 1 win over the Bengals.
Thought of Landon Roberts, at least on a TV tape, looked okay in this game.
Yeah, I know on that 4th down, that pass in the flat to Kittle, Roberts trying to get out there. It's a really tough spot for him, any linebacker to be in. Do you know what the snap count was for the inside linebackers, the rotation there? I know all 3 played. I don't know the exact snap count. I'm guessing Roberts played the fewest of the 3. Probably went Holcomb, Alexander, and then Roberts. But
Holcomb 53 snaps was 78%. It was Alexander 47 snaps, 69%. Roberts played 29 snaps, 43%.
Okay, that felt about the way that it was going to go. Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh, they ran some big nickel. They even used some 4-4 fronts. They used true 4 defensive linemen on the field in this game. They were trying to do some different things to stuff the run. I really got to look at the numbers here once I finish charting, but in the 49ers, I mentioned this during the week, they're 21 personnel and how multiple they can be out of it, and they can move Juszczyk around, and he can flex out or be in the backfield. They can really do a lot of things with him in Pittsburgh. I just felt like they didn't have any good answers in general, regardless what San Francisco is doing, but I thought against 21 personnel, Pittsburgh really never had a good game plan to stop that.
Boy, and you got Trent Williams, a guy for his age, and and his build overall, you would look at him probably. I mean, he's still an impressive guy just looking at him, but for his age and a guy normally with his build, he still moves so incredibly good. And man, there were a couple instances where he's just easily turning guys out or turning guys in, and then other times where he's out in space. Still moves well out in space. I thought the left side of that. I mean, their whole offensive line, obviously, outside of the right tackle, I thought played an extremely good game.
It was nice to see. I know Alex Highsmith got that inside spin to work on Williams once and drew a holding call. That was one of the few decent moments for the defense in this one. So that was my concern. I think tackles have been starting to sit and anticipate that inside spin, but Highsmith still showing some effectiveness there against the Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame left tackle in Trent Williams. But yeah, overall, I mean, the pressure was not, the 49ers just, they could stay on schedule. Brock Purdy did his thing. I mean, he's very much that, in the structure of the 49ers offense, he's really good. If you put him in a different system, he's not going to obviously succeed the way that he's succeeding right now, but he's just such a good fit. He plays, within the structure of the call, but then he can't extend. I mean, he had a couple extended plays, and I know it was late in that game, but that 3rd and 12 scramble that he had for a first down, it's like, how do you let that guy run for a first down? I mean, you got him dead to rights, and he just walks past all you guys and picks up the first down. So just frustrating things where Pittsburgh just could not get stops when they should get stops.
Right.
Special teams in this one, McFarland, a couple of good kick returns. That was, slightly encouraging. I guess overall had a good catch on that 4th down play where as soon as McFarland came in on that 4th and 2, I knew the ball was going to McFarland because why would they put him in the game otherwise at that point? But, Harvin, not great. The special teams was so sloppy. There were so many penalties in this one, Dave. You had the offsides on the field goal rush. You had the timeout to play before. I don't know what that was about. You had Kuntz getting a face mask. You had a false start on one punt. It just a mess there too.
The thing about highlighting Anthony McFarland in the kick return game, yeah, that's good. But the hope is that you don't have to have Anthony McFarland returning many kickoffs. I mean, 3 for 91, 30.3 average, a 34 long. There's nothing wrong with that, obviously. And there were,
except for him having to do so much kick return work. But I get your point.
Right. What are they going to do with Harvin? He once again, he represented himself good during the preseason there with all those inside the 20s. But I mean, a couple more JV punts showing up again in this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to punt week 2. You take it from there. I thought even the Gunners, I thought Pierre and Boykin weren't that strong. They were getting stuck on blocks. McLeod had a couple of good, run backs, and just nothing seemed to go right overall.
All right.
Any final thoughts here, Dave, from this game? I mean, everybody kind of knows the story. Where is your concern? I know it's, reactionary. It's Monday morning, right after the game. Obviously things are pretty hot right now, but where is your concern with the Steelers team?
Well, I thought they were going to be in this game. I didn't think they were going to win this game. I thought they'd be in it, though. I thought it'd be a much more impressive showing on both sides of the ball than what it is. So, but then again, I thought last night, damn it, Dave, why you put so much? And I knew better. Put so much stock into preseason and all like that, especially for the limited amount of snaps that unit played. I'm concerned. Yes. B, they played a good team, a very good team. C, come talk to me after this Browns game, because the Browns won in week 1, upset the Bengals. This is a second game at home for the Steelers, coming off of an extremely poor showing here. Yeah, you can't look at a week 2 game and say this is a must-win game. But you fall 2 games behind Cleveland in the division. You start the season 0-2. I'll tell you what, it's a must factor when it comes to the game. We have to see the offense. We must see the offense look a lot better, or at least be in this game. That's where the must is where it comes to Monday night. But look, this is I did not expect this game to go the way it went, especially when it comes to Kenny Pickett and the accuracy and the decision making. That I think was the most concerning thing overall. If you would have told me that the 49ers scored 30 points in this game, but the Steelers scored 28, I probably could have lived with it better, but it just, five. Let's go back to the five opening 3 and outs there. That was super concerning there. So I'm worried about both sides of the football, and I'm worried about the magnitude of the injuries to the key players here.
Right.
Because not having Cam Heyward in the middle of that defensive line, especially against a team that probably going to want to bully you with Chubb and all like that, and you have a quarterback that obviously has the ability to run in Deshaun Watson, and then giving up what you gave up in these explosive runs. I am concerned about both sides of this unit, but it is only week 1, and let's see if my tune changes Tuesday.
Yeah, I basically echo your thoughts. Not to excuse anything that happened yesterday. It was, I think, a really embarrassing performance. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching, just every aspect was so below expectations. But it is week 1. This team has a chance to rebound. And if they do beat the Browns Monday night, then this tide's going to turn. You're now 1-0 in the North. You're 1-1 in the season. And okay, we can get this thing back on track. So I think week 2 is going to tell us a lot about this team, their resolve, and really who they are. Overall, it's a tough game for sure, but it's certainly a game I think Pittsburgh is capable of winning. But to your point about the injuries, can you do that when you're losing? Say you don't have Heyward and Diontae in this one, and maybe a core four doesn't get cleared in time, then that challenge becomes that much tougher.
And then you got Jim Schwartz on the other side for Cleveland as well, too. A very accomplished defensive coordinator. I have not had a chance to go back through. My understanding is Joe Burrow wasn't all that sharp and all like that. But, Jim Schwartz is an accomplished defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they made Burrow look just terrible. Burrow threw for 82 yards and no touchdowns and completed 40% of his passes yesterday. That's what they did to the Bengals. So you just hope it's not a repeat performance of that in week 2. So it's a lot on the line here. You're right. It's probably a bridge too far to call this must win, but it's darn close considering how bad this team was in week 1.
On the flip side, if you come out and correct some things, and even if it's a close game, if you look, it's not hard to look worse offensively than this team looked on Sunday against the 49ers. But if you look better and, maybe you lose a close game or something like that, a low scoring one or something like that. I don't know. It would at least be something to build on. Because, look, I like I said in my prediction, I had them losing the 49ers game and then rattling off 5 straight. But if they don't, plain and simple, if they don't beat the Browns and don't look good on offense on top of it all, then you have to really reformulate what you think this team can do getting to the bye week.
Yeah. And were you saying about a close loss to the Browns or a close loss to the 49ers? What were you referencing?
No, I'm saying, as long as you look better offensively, massively better offensively against the Browns, and let's say, you lose to them. Maybe we'll have some confidence that the rest of these games from until the bye week and the one after against the Rams will go much better. And maybe it'll be 4-2 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I can get the close loss for the 49ers game, but for the Browns game, you'd be obviously more encouraged in some respect, but end of the day, you're still 0-2, and you're 0-1 in the North. The Browns are 2-0 and 2-0 in the AFC North, and that's just, you start digging a hole. And Pittsburgh has done that so many times every year. It feels like when they dig a hole, a really big hole early, and they got to climb out the rest of the way, and there's just no margin for error there. So,
well, look, obviously, look, if they lose this game to the Browns, then they're look real quick here. Then you've got the Raiders, a team that I obviously haven't watched the first game of that to see. But I mean, the Texans, you better be able to win that one. And then you get a second try in division against the Ravens right before the bye. And then you get the Rams coming out of the bye. So, I mean, even if you lost to the Browns, can you rattle off Raiders, Texans, Ravens, and Rams?
Yeah, you could. You feel like you would have to, though. I feel like there's no margin for error there at all. And the NFL is still tough.
The game against the Ravens really magnifies because you're 0-1 in the division. Then you go 0-2 in the division at that point, and then you really at that point to have a shot at the division, regardless of what you do in the first 5 games overall. If you lose to the Browns and lose to the Ravens, you pretty much have to run the slate in the AFC North alone, on top of obviously winning more games in the second half of the season.
Sure. But that's all down the road, of course, the here and now. Pittsburgh, a miserable game. You just hope there's better days ahead. You just hope that it's just the quirkiness of week 1. And that's what a lot of teams are telling themselves right now. The Giants are saying that. The Bengals are saying that. I'm sure there's other teams I'm forgetting that are saying that right now, that it's week 1. Let's just right the ship for week 2. But that's the spot Pittsburgh has put themselves in. The concerning thing is just, what is the identity of the Pittsburgh Steelers? They wanted to be the ground control and bully ball type mentality. Have not seen that 1 week in. They better show that in week 2. Otherwise, they're going to have the same. And I think Ryan Clark made a comment about this, and I had my terrible take on this for Monday. The identity crisis of who the Pittsburgh Steelers really are. I think they went into this offseason in the beginning of this year with a better vision and plan for who they want to be, but who they actually are, they can be two different things.
Yeah, you can say you want to be a car, but you don't accomplish that just by standing in a garage.
There you go.
But look, I mean, you only run the ball 9 times in this game, and obviously 49ers were almost, daring you to try to run on them and all like that. You still couldn't get anything done on top of it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they don't have an identity right now. Their identity is they can't move the football on offense. That's their identity. Yeah. And their other identity is they are definitely not a good first down defense overall, and they're still giving up explosive plays on defense.
They're still getting punched in the mouth. They're not doing the punching right now. I mean, they did some of that late last year, but just not to the degree where it needs to be, and certainly did not happen yesterday. So I think that's probably a good time to wrap this thing up.
You had some stupid penalties in this game as well, too, right? Was it Levi Wallace and didn't Pickens get one in this? And that's not you're already having a bad day and you're making it worse on top of it with stuff like that. And they had that shot in the fourth quarter with around 5 minutes, and Pickens looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. And I know there's this story floating around about him liking something on Instagram, and I don't know. We've learned over the years you got to be careful when judging that kind of stuff there. But I mean, he was targeted a lot of times in this game. Probably not the targets that he want, but also if teams are good, trying to put lids on. Here's the thing. We've got to see George Pickens. We know he can make the one-handed catch. We know he can make the plays down the field more than 15 yards down, past the line of scrimmage when given the opportunity. But the thing that we need to start seeing out of Pickens soon is the stuff underneath and the playmaking ability other than catching the football more than 12 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Sure, that was my whole thought on him this preseason and summer, and I thought he showed that during the summer, and I think during yesterday, he was running a more full route tree, and all his catches were underneath. The 49ers simply did not allow anything vertically. He did have that crazy one-handed grab out of bounds in the end zone there midway through that game, but the 49ers, they tackled the catch well. They're sound. They just kept everything underneath, took away the run game, and Pickett could not matriculate this offense downfield with his accuracy and just the poor sloppy play. But yeah, it was a lot of Steelers beating Steelers, and the 49ers are too good for you to beat yourself and expect to still be competitive in this game.
All right, where should we go? We got a lot of emails in here. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, let's get to a couple reader emails. Let me buckle up first because I can see where this is going. And yeah, we'll get to some emails and close out today's show.
Jordan writes, what's up, Dave and Alex? You're my number one Steelers podcast, so I had to get both of your thoughts on this. In your opinion, what was the most entertaining Steeler ever on offense and on defense? Not necessarily the best, but the most entertaining. He says his answer is Antonio Brown on offense. He's the only player I can remember literally every Sunday asking myself how the hell he did that. We know how special the route running and burst was, but the contested catches, even in double coverage. My defensive answer is Troy Polamalu. There's no way to describe. Yeah, look, at least the first question is not one pertaining to the game, but Jordan, at least in recent times here, I think you hit it, man. That there was. It seemed like every week, man, I can't believe how Antonio Brown, his route running was so damn good. He knew how to lean on people and that on deep balls, how to get that last minute, half, 3/4, sometimes a yard separation with the ball in the air, and just some of the catches that he made overall. So yeah, I think Antonio Brown's the easier answer there, at least in recent memory. And I think you hit it on Troy Polamalu. Some of those plays that guy made during his career, just undescribable.
Yeah, I would go Troy defensively. I think AB a good one offensively. I would say backyard Ben, the Sandlot Ben plays that he made, just so much fun to watch those. So I might lean Ben, but all good answers there.
All right, Seth writes in, I think you guys may cover this on the main podcast, but just in case you don't, wonder what you think of the defensive game plan for the 49ers. Seems to me the entire plan was to play off and tackle the catch, living in their fears of the vaunted 49ers yards after the catch. He says, I think Purdy completed one difficult contested throw all game long. It's hard to stay optimistic when this team gets absolutely boat raced. They just don't belong, but when we know this team is deep and talented, it's time to say the game planning on this team is well below the line. Well, he says, wonder what you think about defensive game plan for the 49ers. Well, I think Alex already highlighted, that it looked like they played a lot of zone in this, right?
Yeah, I don't have the exact metrics on that, and I've yet to watch the all 22, but it certainly felt like that, especially in a lot of key moments. So it seemed pretty zone heavy for sure.
And it looked like they knew exactly where they wanted to go with the football, especially in some of them second and third down looks, and even fourth down looks there. And as we highlighted early in the game, early in this podcast here, and they really did a good job of staying ahead of the chains on first down, whether it be runs or pass in there. You're getting 6 yards like that on first down. That allows you to do a lot of different things on second down there. So look, without a doubt, game planning on both sides of this football in this game, and the execution was not there. It's got to be to win games in the NFL. I don't care who you play. You got to be better than this team was on both sides of the football.
Yeah, plain and simple. I thought Pittsburgh got punched in the mouth both sides of the ball, and that cannot be their personality going forward.
Boat race seems to be a popular word today. Nick writes in, Steelers got boat raced at home. Yikes. I know that the coaching staff is not out there on the field having to make plays, but coaches have a job preparing players for the game ahead. Which coaches do you think have the least blame on their shoulders in yesterday's loss? Also, I know that many people out there were expecting this team to contend for a playoff spot. I'm definitely not packing it in on this season, but with this organization's standard being what it is, if the Steelers don't win a playoff game this year, can you guys see Tomlin's hot seat in the kitchen starting to get hot? Well, look, first we're going to be reading a lot of negative emails here today with reason. Which coach has the least amount of blame on their shoulder in yesterday's loss? Eddie Faulkner, maybe?
I guess the running backs didn't have to do anything, and they didn't touch the ball in this game.
And and they delivered one explosive play.
Right. They're all to blame. I'm not trying to pick out who's marginally less to blame here in this one. No one did a good enough job yesterday.
If this team doesn't doesn't win a playoff game, look, let's roll it back and just get them in the playoffs here at this point after 1 week here. Can you guys see Tomlin's seat in the kitchen starting to get hot? I guess it depends on what the coloring of it all looks like here when it's all said and done here. I mean, this, at least on paper, this team looked a lot better heading into week one. So we'll see how. But then again, you come out of your week one game, you have two significant injuries to two key players here, each on both sides of the football. You obviously don't want that thing to that list to grow. But on the flip side, that's why you have depth, right? In this, and that's why you were thankful, at least on paper, to see this be a deeper team. Initial thought is, yeah, you'd have to think that Tomlin's seat in the kitchen gets hotter if this team either doesn't make the playoffs, or B, just gets in and loses a playoff game.
I think the local media chatter will grow, and it becomes more justifiable with each year that passes. But the national media still loves Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin's going to be this head coach until he doesn't want to be the head coach anymore. So regardless of what we think or feel, I don't think it's really going to change the equation too much. I think Tomlin comes back in 2024, really, no matter what happens in 2023.
All right, John from overseas, massive fan of your podcast from the UK. You guys really helped me get through the offseason. I know nobody had a particular good game. However, did you notice particularly how bad the strong safeties were, Casey and Neal? He says, my question is, do you think at some point this season they will move Peterson to safety and start Porter? Well, I mean, if you're moving Peterson to more of a full-time role, you would probably think he'd be more of a free than strong, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's not so much the box guy type. And it's not like Peterson had some sort of great game yesterday either. I mean, maybe that's the initiative to move him to safety. But no, if Peterson gets moved, it'll be more to more of a fuller time slot role than anything else.
Right. And look, though, at one point, you could tell at what, you don't like the stat box score scout through while a game is going on there. But at one time early in this game, Minka was leading the team in tackles.
Yeah,
that's not a good thing overall. So look, yeah, not just to say everybody's got to get better on the defensive side of the football there. Bryce writes in, what a dreadful week one performance. Simply put, does this mean that Braden Fehoko and Armon Watts will be getting hats moving forward? He's Loudermilk and Adams, like we've seen at times before, we're getting blown up at the point of attack with good running teams on deck for the next couple of weeks. Do you see a scenario where Adams ends up as a healthy scratch? Your thoughts? First and foremost, I was a little bit surprised that Loudermilk, personally, probably Alex not as much, got a helmet over Watts. Loudermilk's probably still 1-for-1 the better run defender than Watts, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that's what Pittsburgh views him as, and that's why he got the hat yesterday.
So I guess the real question becomes, well, here's the thing. Let's say Cam Heyward's inactive there.
Or Liao.
Or Liao. Let's say both of them are inactive. Will either one of them need to go to the short-term IR? That's question number one. But if they stay on the 53, you're probably going to see. You could probably see Fehoko get elevated.
Yeah, I really could. Just run plugger, and they're going to need some run plugging against the Browns. So I don't know all the mechanisms of how all that would work, but I could certainly see that.
I mean, it's Monday now. Before we by the time we get to Sunday, I'm guessing that it's going to be pretty clear cut as the A, who might be elevated, and B, who will get helmets.
Right. Yeah, we'll just wait and see, but probably expecting something like that this weekend.
Different. He is part two, different inside linebacker starters. Some of the same issues. Cole Holcomb looking out of place at times in coverage, not shedding blocks consistently enough. I know it's early, but should we really be thinking more about steady rotations of Roberts, Juan, and Mark Robinson? Let's see here. Well, we already went over the snap counts overall in this thing, and with this probably being a more run-centric game, Man, look, I thought Landon Roberts for the most part played okay. I don't know if anything that we saw on Sunday is going to dictate Mark Robinson getting snaps, though.
Yeah. Probably not this early. I get your point. We'll have to see, but I think they're going to keep rotating their top three and let this thing go out another week.
Paul Brown, Overreaction Monday, writes in, just an embarrassing week effort from the Steelers. I'm not sold on the issue of play calling, but more of just a lack of execution from the players. I know many emails will cover Kenny, but the defense needs to be criticized as well. With the exception of TJ, atrocious effort from what everyone thought would be a top defense, from wide open receivers in the holes of the zone. Minka missing an what about that Minka? You highlighted that. I know on Twitter during the game, man, he had Brock dead to rights and missed him there. That was the play that he hit Debo on, wasn't on?
Yep, a great grab by Debo.
Patrick Peterson not backing up his trash talk to the D-line, letting CMC run at will. There's nothing that makes you feel good moving forward. I'm looking forward to the Steelers' depot analysis of the all-22 on the defensive side of the ball. P.S. At work, we are burying a football today and moving on from this. Would you feel better if at least the defense had showed up and made this a 17-7 game? How much better would you feel?
I mean, of course I would feel better, but the question really is how good is this offense and can they take the step? We're talking about the offense needing to put the pieces in place. Felt like the pieces were in place. And what is Kenny Pickett? I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but you're still wondering who Kenny Pickett exactly is for this franchise long term. That's not been set in stone. Yeah, you were encouraged by last year in the preseason, and it's just one game, not determining anything, not concluding, but you're still wondering and still backbinding who this guy is. And 1 week into the season, it's not an encouraging start.
And look, we're not putting this entire game on Kenny Pickett. He played a big part in it, obviously, when you only score 7 points on offense. This was a very, very well done and complete team loss.
Yes, it's unfortunate. I mean, it was a complete failure across the board.
Larissa, these people want to I'm going to run a little long here, Alex, because we're going to let these people vent here. Hi, guys. I felt so deflated, as I'm sure you did after the game. How disappointing. I'm not an X's and O's football person, so this could sound dumb, but one thing I noticed when Christian McCaffrey runs, he starts his burst begins behind the line of scrimmage, and he blows through the defense for at least 4 yards. Najee literally gets the ball handed off at the line of scrimmage and just runs into a wall without any burst. And to make it worse, it's so obvious when they are going to run and the handoff is super slow. Well, they only ran 9 times in this game. And look, I've got to be very as objective as I can on these, and I've hounded. That was a great run by Najee. 1 of 9, yeah, but I mean it was a great run by him. And Najee is more of a power back though, and that's the kind of you expect the line to do their part and him to complement that. But they are two different runners and what they can give you, Larissa. And on the other side, it's the same problem. Run defense like Swiss cheese on that long Christian McCaffrey run. It's like the Steelers players were on the field for the first time ever and just forgot how to play. However, I do think the Steelers will improve. Larissa says it was like a glitch in the matrix. Boy, let's hope it was just a glitch in the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Good job on Steeler coverage as always. You guys have been the coverage of the Steelers, better coverage of the Steelers than the Steelers coverage skills look like. All right. Well, we're trending ahead of the Steelers coverage skills as a podcast. Thanks for the email, Larissa. Chris Warren. I'm so sick of hearing the national sports media guys alternating between trashing the Steelers 1 week, then trying to crown them AFC North champs next week. It's all based on a handful of highlights. They act as though the skill positions are all that matter. They completely discount the importance of the big uglies down in the trenches. I'm so thankful to have you guys. Such a breath of fresh air, blah, blah, blah. Training camp and preseason coverage has been awesome. Very much appreciated. Thanks for that, Chris. Look, I may have had 1 or 2 more sips of the preseason Kool-Aid than I needed to take.
Yeah, I mean, I always say with these young quarterbacks is you don't want to ride the roller coaster. 1 week don't want to get too high, one bad week don't want to get too low, and that can probably apply to the entire team. So obviously, it's a very concerning start. This team looked flat. It was again just them getting beat up physically was the most concerning part to me because the whole MO has been built around playing bully ball and out muscling teams and winning the point of attack, and they certainly did anything but yesterday. So. We'll see what week 2 looks like. It's a big game there. And just by the way, speaking of week 2, official according to Adam Schefter, Browns right tackle Jack Conklin tore his ACL and MCL. Will have season-ending surgery soon, so he's of course out for the year. Will not play this weekend, and so it should be the rookie Day-One Jones to face T.J. Watt as Jones makes his first official start.
All right, 3 more sacks for Watt.
Jay Jones has looked good to his credit. I mean, he's had a good summer. He had a good, obviously I think Watt has the advantage there, but Jones is a pretty freaky dude whenever he's on his game.
Chris Wade. Hey guys, what are your thoughts on Harvin after this performance? I believe these inconsistencies are who he is, and he's hurting this defense by field position. Junior varsity punts. Tomlin has to see that, right? Tomlin's got his hands full. He's
seeing a lot right now.
Right now, it's going to take him a while to get down the list, I think, this week and get to Harvin. But point taken. The one thing we wrote and talked about throughout the offseason when talking about the punter battle and all like that was inconsistencies there. I have a feeling they won't let that go on too long.
Braden Mann's still a free agent, correct? He never officially signed anywhere.
So, yeah.
So just want to put that out there.
Sunday loss from Michael in Edinburgh, PA. Shame on you, Dave and Alex. You had me believing 2023 Steelers were a playoff team and things broke their way, even AFC North champions. I was skeptical that their 3-0 preseason, almost perfect performance by the first team offense and defense was due to them playing against second and third teams of their preseason foes. I was perfectly fine with anticipating 10-7 season, which included a 3-3 split in the AFC North. I realized this is only one game. But 10-7 and 3-3 seemed like an impossibility unless their performance greatly improves or as the season goes on. My biggest disappointment was the offensive line's performance. What was yours? My biggest disappointment of yesterday was yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was everything, but I think Kenny Pickett just looking so far removed from how he looked this summer was the most concerning part.
Jay Barbati seemed like a lot of Kenny's misfires were him trying to protect his receiver from a big hit. How does Najee get 6 carries? One went for 25. His speed is an issue, but 6 carries, he writes, found myself screaming, run the ball. Ayuk made Purdy look stellar. Purdy is a good quarterback and deserves to be a starter, but Ayuk was more than half of his yards and both touchdowns. Week 1 is always weird. These injuries hurt. Look, Purdy got the ball to him, and they were schemed good situations there. And, yeah, Ayuk had a hell of a game. As far as Najee getting 6 carries, the flow of the game really dictated that. I mean, I guess you could have wedged in another carry or 2 in those first 5 3 and outs, but
same outcome. It's not changing the game. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you get into the second half and behind, like, that's why you get 9 carries in this game total for running backs. Hunter Higgins, what up, Dave and Alex? Can't believe how awful we looked at home against the Niners. The NFL will never let the Steelers have a season opener at home again. LOL. What happened to Kenny, though? Really concerning how composed and improved he looked in the preseason. Just seemingly forgot all about that in this regular season opener. His accuracy was terrible and decision-making was not there. I can understand opening game jitters, but he just didn't look like the same guy at all. Did you guys see anything different scheme-wise that was different from this preseason that could have contributed to this? Well, hey, you're going up against teams playing real defenses at this point and actually scheming up for you. Hopefully this is just a really bad season opener and we can get it together next week for the Browns. I don't have anything really to add to that. How concerned are you about this from Madeline about Kenny Pickett? Seemed like he took a pretty step back. Found myself half jokingly pondering whether they should be in the tank for Caleb Williams if this continues. Look, Kenny, they're going to try to figure it out with Kenny, and it was an awful game. There's no other way to paint it when it comes to Kenny's game.
Yeah, I mean, he's on notice for week 2. Let's see what the resolve is. I think he's a mentally tough dude. I think he's bounced back from adversity before. He's obviously in a whale of it right now. So it's a concerning performance. Let's hope it doesn't become a concerning performances. And let's see how he bounces. If he bounces, he could bounce back in week 2, have a great game, put it all together. And we're talking about how mentally tough this guy is and how he's battling and just you're still the guy. So it's certainly a concern. So it's a big moment Monday night, primetime, AFC North opponent, a team that looks really good like the Browns, especially defensively. But let's see how Pickett, if and how he meets the moment.
One last one, John DiStefano. Hey guys, straightforward question. Have you ever been more disappointed in a Steeler performance in your fandom? Thanks, John. Look, I'm 50 something years old. I've got a lot of disappointment to go through. Look, I'll say this. I mean, in recent memory, especially when it comes to home openers, even either home or away. I don't know. I guess there was a few years ago. What, against the Patriots, right?
Yeah, they got blown out 33-3.
Right. I mean, as far as home openers go, in let's say the Tomlin era, I mean that disappointment level. This one's up there.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of disappointing losses, though. There was a bunch last year. The Jets game, I still don't get it for the Jets game. Probably never will at this point. I mean, listen, they lost to the Texans way back when, or 24-6, where the Texans had 80 yards of offense that game. I mean, they've had some Raiders losses before. Terrell Pryor going 90 on them, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to be able to rank this one, cleanly. It's very disappointing, but I'm sure there's a bunch more disappointing than this one.
It's very recency.
Yes, and that's where it comes from.
Is that a word? All right. I think everybody gets the tone here. I got a couple more we didn't get to, but I think the all 22 is about to drop. So we're both, I wouldn't say excited to get to it, but it's our job to peel through that and see what else we can talk about on Wednesday. Let's see. We got a Tomlin press conference coming, I believe, on Tuesday. Is it? I forget.
Yeah. Should still be Tuesday. And we have a live stream tonight, Dave and I. So if you didn't get a question in, it'll be.
I look forward to that one.
Yeah, it'll be something. But tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Dave and I, YouTube channel, to search my name, and you can ask us questions there.
All right. Thank you, everybody who still listens, and we'll break it down and talk about it, and tell you what we see and listen to your comments here, and we will be back at it on Wednesday, recapping the Tomlin presser, and of course that'll be ahead of the injury report. No, I think the first injury report comes out on Thursday this week here. So, but anyway, a lot to talk about these next few days. And as Alex said, you can join us for the live stream on YouTube later on tonight. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button upright, navigational bar. Also, if you want an ad-free version, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button upright, navigational bar. Until Wednesday, hang in there, folks. As always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.